of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says the Divine's glory transforms defeats into eternity's victories. All shadows have fled before His radiant brightness. With my love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Words of our Divine Mother taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, question and answers, volume 16, some answers from the Divine Mother, series 11, page 357. This is addressed to a sadhak of the Sri Aurobindo Ashram, in which our Divine Mother answers her question to the sadhak. The sadhak says, Sweet Mother, how can my effort to serve the Divine become more perfect? For this, our Divine Mother says, by wanting Him more and more in every part of your being, integrally. Date 11th October 1966. Question, Sweet Mother. In the human being, is the psychic being the entire soul, or do both the soul in its essence as a divine spark in all creatures and the psychic being exist together? For this, our Divine Mother says, the soul is the eternal essence at the center of the psychic being. The soul is, in fact, like a divine spark which puts on many states of being of increasing density down to the most material. It is inside the body, within the solar plexus, so as to say, these states of being take form and develop, progress, become individualized and perfected in the course of many earthly lives and forms the psychic being. When the psychic being is fully formed, it is aware of the consciousness of the soul and manifests it perfectly, says our Divine Mother, date 1st Feb 1967. Question, Sweet Mother. As soon as I see or meet certain people, certain lower and wrong vibrations arise in me. This is an invariable habit. In spite of the fact that I want to get rid of these reactions, what should I do? For this, our Divine Mother says, the radical method is to cut off all mental and vital connections with these people. But until you know how to do this, you must persistently eliminate from your consciousness the effect produced by their influence. The sadhak says, Sweet Mother, you have said the Divine is with you according to your aspirations. Naturally, this does not mean that He gives way to the fancies of your outer nature. I am speaking here of the truth of your being. Moreover, He sometimes molds Himself according to your outer aspiration, and if you live like the devotees who alternate between periods of estrangement and embrace, of ecstasy and despair, the Divine too will be farther from you or nearer, depending on what you believe. The attitude is therefore very important, even the outer attitude. Sweet Mother, what is the meaning of outer aspiration and outer attitude? What is the best outer attitude? For this, our Divine Mother says, unless one practices integral yoga in the physical being, outer being, it means ignorant. Even its aspiration is ignorant, so is its goodwill. All its movements are ignorant, and so they distort and disfigure the divine presence. That is why the yoga, the integral yoga of the body cells, is indispensable. Question, sweet mother, the dawn that does not pass away. What spiritual state does this marvelous dawn represent? For this, our Divine Mother says, perpetual renewal. The sadhak says, sweet mother, this is how I understand the Purusha. The Lord is the Supreme Purusha, the Purushottama. The Atman is the universal Purusha. The Jivatman is the individual Purusha. And the physical Purusha, the vital Purusha, and the mental Purusha, and the secret Purusha in the heart are projections of it. The soul is the Purusha that enters into the evolution. Is my understanding correct? For this, our Divine Mother says this is one way of putting it. Mental definitions are never more than approximations or ways of speaking. Question, sweet mother. My body is very weak and full of unconsciousness and tamas. How can this body become your good instrument? For this, our Divine Mother says, at the center of each cell, at the center of each cell lies the divine consciousness. By aspiration and repeated self giving, the cells must be made transparent. Question, sweet mother, to be aware of the consciousness of the soul, is this the same thing as uniting with the divine? For this, our Divine Mother says, to become aware of the consciousness of the soul is the surest and easiest way of uniting with the divine. Question, sweet mother, you give everything we need, but my capacity to receive it is very limited since it takes a long time for me to assimilate even the little I am able to receive. Untroubled, I pray, how can the situation be improved? For this, our Divine Mother says this difficulty usually comes from a lack of unification of the being. Certain parts are recalcitrant and refuse to receive. They have to be educated little by little, just as one educates a child little by little, to the situations will definitely improve. The sadhak says, sweet mother, our Lord told you, one day thou will be my head, but for the moment turn thy gaze towards the earth. Sweet mother, what does thou will be my head mean? It is taken from the Prayers and Meditations, page 144. For this, our Divine Mother says the head is the original conceiving consciousness. Next question, sweet mother. When I want to be closer to you, I see that I must overcome my ego. But when I think of overcoming my ego, I see that I must be closer to you. How can I solve this problem? Our Divine Mother smiles and says, the grace is there to solve it. Then the sadhak says, sweet mother, how can I be your good child? For this, our Divine Mother says, by being yourself, quite simply, very simply. Question, sweet mother, how can I get rid of the habit of feeling that I own the material things that belongs to me? For this, our Divine Mother says, if you belong entirely and totally to the divine, then all that belongs to you, all that forms part of your material being, belongs to the divine. Questions. Sometimes, sweet mother, I think that the Agni you have kindled in me is going to burn up everything that separates me from you. What should I do to contribute to its fulfillment? For this, our Divine Mother says, each time that you discover in yourself something that denies or resists, throw it into the flame of Agni, which is the fire of aspiration. Question, sweet mother. Is it possible to make my hands conscious so that they do nothing imperfect or incorrect or wrong? What is the way to do it, Divine Mother? For this, our Divine Mother says it is quite possible by concentrating on the hands when they are doing something. The hands of painters, sculptors, musicians are usually very unconscious and always skillful. It is a question of training. Question. Sweet mother, I want to overcome a difficulty. Is it that when I perceive faults or weaknesses in myself, something tries to justify them or to prevent me from getting attending to them? For this, our Divine Mother says, this something is the insincerity of an ignorant self esteem which has not yet understood that it is nobler and loftier to recognize one's fault in order to correct them than to cancel them in the hope that they will not be noticed. As for all psychological problems, here too, sincerity, a total and uncompromising sincerity, is the true remedy. Question, sweet mother, please tell me how can I get rid of the past which clings so heavily? For this, our Divine Mother says to get rid of the past is something so difficult that it seems almost impossible. But if you give yourself entirely and without reserve to the future, and if this giving is constantly renewed, the past will fall away by itself and no longer encumber you. Question, sweet mother. One morning, as I was reading your book, Prayers and Meditation, I wished to know which movement comes first, to live in thee or to live for thee. Before the mind could set to work to find the answer, the reply that came to me spontaneously was this: the two states are complementary to each other. For this, our Divine Mother says, yes, the two states are complementary, but that does not necessarily mean that they are simultaneous. Most often, to live for thee comes first, and if the being is unified and sincere, to live in thee soon follows. But of course, for the first to be perfect, the second must be present. Question, sweet mother. Your hands are open to give everything, but I can only receive a smaller part of it. I am not receptive enough. For this, our Divine Mother says, this is the exact image of the state of the world which suffers because it is not receptive. When it could live in a beatitude, if it could open to the divine love, but there is a remedy, sincere and constant aspiration. Question, sweet mother, I have begun to see that both the personal effort of the sadhak and its results depend on the divine grace. For this, our Divine Mother says, about this, one could say humorously that we are all divine, but we hardly are even aware of it. And what we call ourselves is that in us which is unaware that it is divine. Question, sweet mother. To establish the reign of the divine on earth, who is slower, man or divine himself? For this, our Divine Mother says, to man, the divine seems slow. In the eyes of the divine, man is slow indeed. But perhaps in these two cases, the slowness is not the same. Question, sweet mother. One thing's escaping my understanding. How can you find time to do all that you do? Perhaps physical time does not exist for you. For this, our Divine Mother says, the body is able to bear the pressure of time because it knows and feels quite concretely that it does not give itself life and act, but that only the Supreme Lord exists and that He alone lives and acts. This, moreover, is the secret of all endurances. Question, sweet mother. From what I understand, you said that the psychic beings of the disciples of the ashram all belong to the same family. In spite of this, there is often a lack of collaboration among us. Why is that, mother? For this, our Divine Mother says, if I did say this, probably not quite in these words, it would refer to a universal family open to all differences, even all divergences. But in any case, a mutual understanding, lack of collaboration can only come from the outer physical and vital being, which is formed in this life and is not yet under the rule and influence of the psychic. As soon as one is united with one's own psychic, all the conflicts due to clashing bad wills can no longer exist. Question, sweet mother, how can one use shadows to realize? The constant remembrance of the divine is the beginning of the union with the divine. When the remembrance is constant, one often feels a presence that imposes itself on the remembrance. Question, sweet mother, how can one hasten the day when the whole being will be able to say, I am yours, yours alone? For this, our Divine Mother says there are two actions which in practice merge into one. First, never forget the goal that one wants to attain. Second, never allow any part of the being or any of its moments to contradict one's aspiration. This also makes it necessary to become conscious of one's nights. Activities of the night often contradict the aspiration of the day and undo its work. Vigilance, sincerity, continuity of effort, and grace will do the rest, says our Divine Mother.